name is Solomon Izange Shams. Thank you so much for joining me on Solomon's Temple. I really do appreciate it. We're going to get to some of the things that you raised yesterday. And just to build a background, just about your love relationship with your wife. How long have you been married? And what was your marriage like for as long as you guys were married?
Well, we were 2019, or if I would say 2020 was supposed to be 12 years of our marriage. You know, probably December 6th would have been our marriage anniversary. You know, but for the separation, I think by 2019, you know, in which the separation took place, you know, that will be 11 years. From the time I introduced her to Apostle Johnson Suleiman, who I had met, I think, barely few months, you know, before then.
From, if I remember what Mike said very well, he was the introduction to Johnson Suleiman. He introduced you to him.
Not at all.
If I remember that very well. And who introduced? Did he introduce you to Apostle Suleiman, or how did you guys?
No.
What was the relationship like? You met him separately, and Mike met him separately.
I met him separately. I met Apostle Johnson Suleiman before Mike met him. I knew Apostle Johnson Suleiman at a very young age. At that time, I was already doing ministry. I think I was 13, 14. So I introduced Mike to Apostle Suleiman. I told Daddy, I said, I found a man, I want to get married. Somebody said he loves me. And he laughed. He laughed and said, what do you never love?
When did you notice there was something wrong? And what was sort of like the discussions that you guys had around it?
Well, basically, I think from the time I introduced her to Apostle Johnson Suleiman, who I had met, I think, barely few months, you know, before then, you know, weakness is different from wickedness.
Yes.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? Apostle Suleiman's situation is not a function of weakness; it's a function of wickedness. Because I'm not the first person he has done this to. There are so many victims out there who probably cannot speak up for reasons of fear, you know, of his, you know, position and influence and connections and all of that. But I have made up my mind that this is my story, this is my truth. Whatever it will take me, I will fight for my children, I will fight for my home. So basically, my wife, you know, at some point, you know, would mention to me of his invitations of her, you know, to certain places, you know, come and stay with me, can you come to Benin, you know, so locations and all of that. I would basically just overlook it and say, maybe Papa is lonely and all of that. He probably just needs company because of his frequent travels and all of that. Just feel free. You know, but after some point, she began to mention to me, you know, of his interest in her, you know, and all of that. And I said, well, at this point, it appears that you may really have to be careful, you know, about your closeness and all of that. But she was basically like, there is really nothing like that she would, she have everything under control. You know, from one point to the other, after some point, she was no longer opening up to me. You know, for probably for fear that, okay, maybe I was beginning to process the whole thing, and it was probably beginning to affect my mood and all of that. You know, until we eventually got married. All of this was even before we got married in 2008, December 6th. Then after we got married, because I started out pastoring in Warri, Delta State here in Nigeria, I was posted from there to Benin, branch 2, Urubi. Specific. That was where I was pastoring. You had branch 1. Branch 1 was being headed by Pastor Temidayo then. That one has also left the ministry because of things like this and all of that. That one has left. You know, so then eventually I was after some time I was posted from there to Osun State. Then it was in Osun State. I was posted to Osun State 2010. All right. You know, so that was when about the time Celebration TV, you know, starting and all of that, Rema for Living, you know, the plans were underway, basically, and all of that. So for reasons of, you know, the fact that my wife was, you know, a part-time staff with NTA Iraq, but you can Google it is there on YouTube, the NTA Europe. When you have NTA Benin, and they extended the stations to some of these villages around and all of that, and they had their offices there. So that's where she was working as one of the broadcasters, you know.
Yeah.
And so Suleiman now felt that, okay, that should be instrumental to the development of Celebration TV and all of that. He asked her to resign, which she did, and all of that. So as of 2009, we had our first daughter, whose name is Michelle. God blessed us with that girl exactly November 24th, 2009. You know, so then into 2010, when we're in Osun State now, we had just moved to Osun State, barely about 6 months thereabout, you know, to 7 months. You know, when she will have to travel back and forth to Auchi, even to Lagos, doing meetings with Apostle Suleiman and team and all of that. You know, I basically felt neutral about it, considering the fact that she had a baby and all of that. You know, so when she came back on one of the days, that was when she told me that she really needed to talk to me, you know, about something that had happened. So I was like, go ahead. And she said, this is what happened, that Apostle Suleiman lodged. Everybody who are hearing me from around the world, or who probably have been to Auchi, Edo State, they know Uyi Grand. Uyi Grand is a popular hotel in Auchi, Edo State. As a matter of fact, that's one of the hotels that hosts, you know, some of the guests that's come from Asad Auchi and all of that. You know, so that was where he would basically lodge some of his guests, you know, and what you have. So that was where she was lodged. So she told me 2 days later, because her conscience was really pricking her, you know, that this is what happened. And that when she told me, I died as a man from that time. That Apostle Suleiman came to her room, you know, and had carnal knowledge of her, slept with her. So I was basically like, you know, where was my daughter? That was the first question I asked. I said, where was Michelle? You know, she said Michelle was on the bed, you know, pushed aside. You know, that's one thing I'm not very sure how much I can live with it. You know, so I died as a man from that moment.
Has Apostle Johnson Suleiman ever had sex with you,
Oh my
or
God.
kissed you, or
Oh
touched
my
you
God.
in places where I have to
Stop
ask you
it.
this straight, because
Stop
that is
it.
what is out there. This whole
Stop.
conversation is around that.
Stop it. You're sounding as you're saying it. It's itching my ears. It has never happened. It can never happen. I can imagine it. It's
He
like
has never
sleeping with your
touched
biological
you.
father.
He has never
Why?
touched you in the wrong
It
place.
has
He has never kissed you. He has never had sexual, never.
never has it happened. Never has it happened.
Not
Never
even,
has.
not even when you were in a hotel place with your daughter. That Mike said your
What?
daughter was
What?
there in the
What?
same bed. In the words of Mike, and he was right there, and you confessed to him later that you had had a sexual relationship with him.
Oh God, Solomon, that never happened. It never ever happened.
Let's establish the fact that the only person you had sexual relationship with is
Yeah.
Michael.
Yes,
Are we
please.
establishing that?
I'm establishing that.
Apostle Johnson Suleiman, not based on what Mike is telling me, based on
Okay.
my investigation from 5-6 years ago, Johnson Suleiman went to a strip club
Okay.
and he picked a girl from a strip club in Rivonia, Johannesburg.
Okay.
This girl came to me, wanted to sell the story. She didn't even know who he was. You know, he told her he was a Nollywood actor, because they go to the shopping mall and then people are saying hi to him, you know, because she was not really a Christian, so she didn't know who he was. And he took her, paid her manager, took her for the night. Anytime he comes to Johannesburg, he's with her. She showed me photos of them in the hotel. From the hotel on a Sunday, from having sex with this girl, he goes straight to church to preach. Johnson Suleiman is a charlatan, talking to all the Auchi and all the sons and the daughters of this fake apostle, of this man who is a criminal, who is a witch doctor. That's who he is, a witch doctor carrying the Bible. Do you know how many people he has destroyed? Do you know how many marriages Suleiman has destroyed? Do you know how many people Suleiman has killed? Let me even put it that way. Do you know how many people Suleiman has killed?
Yeah, one thing I also need us to understand is that Apostle Suleiman is not a man of God. He's not. The Apostle Suleiman is not a man of God. You
Yes.
see, because I viewed that, that incident beyond just wanting to sleep with a woman. There must be some reasons or probably a occultic purpose attached to it. And some persons have spoken to me, in confidence to like, by that action, that child comes under a curse, probably, that only the father of that child can break that curse, or probably and a genuine man of God. These are the two persons who may want to minister to that child. And that's why the first thing I'm going to demand, is to release my children, first of all, for a DNA test, because I need to be sure that these children are even my own in the first place.
Would you be keen to do a DNA test? Allow your
Uh,
kids to do a DNA test, because Mike is currently not comfortable and would maybe like to contest the fact that he isn't sure he's the father of the 3 kids. Yes or no?
that you see another one that he has said now. You see another part he has said. See, I don't have a problem. It's his business. I don't have a problem. As a matter of fact, okay, as a matter of fact, the DNA is a waste of money. Except maybe he just has money. I don't have a problem. What's my own? What's my own? When you look at Mike, the 3 children, you don't need DNA. If I could put their pictures here, when you look at them, you don't need DNA. Mike is saying I denied him access. These children have done their birthdays for 2 years. I lived with you and was your wife. You have my account number. What is Mike talking about? He doesn't think he's talking to kids. You have my account number. If you cared about your kids, I'm not saying it's all about the money. Benin again, he had the same issue. The
So
same
the
issue.
same issue of women in Asaba. There was a question of women, so not just one woman, but
Not one.
multi-dating women, and there was some sort of problem between the women. He was moved to
Yeah.
Benin,
To Benin.
and the same problem
The,
again.
the same issues. He gets angry, he shouts at members, he's aggressive. It was something that happened in Asaba that he was transferred for. Because what that papa does is
What
because I feel
what happened in
it
Asaba?
had
What happened?
issues to do with women. Yes, it has issues to do with sleeping with his members, the ladies. So the thing escalated, caused problems between 2 girls. And so Daddy has always had his back. Yeah, it was at some point when the whole thing got out of hand. So Papa was feeling, is it because I'm siding you? I don't understand. He has always had his back. So he had to transfer him away from that mess to Benin. And for the fact that we just got married, so he had to do that for us. Go to Benin. So when that happened in Asaba, he gave me his own bitter side because that's him. When he does anything wrong, he will never accept that I'm wrong. He will always push it back to you to the defensive, and you will end up begging. That's the truth. Why did you do this? I'm not happy with this in here. And so is that why you should ask me questions? Sometimes we even ask you, how did you not find out? Why did you not listen? This thing I'm seeing like this, so we got to Benin, and we started. That was when I got pregnant and I had my first child. So these 2 issues were the main issues he has always had in all his branches: anger issues and women issues.
So you've never beaten her up, abused her, she left the
There has
house to
never
go
been
to
anything
her
like that.
parents? Pastor Faith, has Mike ever beaten you up, physically abused you?
Yes,
Because he told me he
yes.
has never abused you.
Oh
He
my God.
respects women.
Oh
Has
my
he
God.
has he taken his hand, his feet, kick you and hit you?
Yes, he has. He has. He has done it. And Mike knows it.
Was that
Since
consistent? Or he did it just once and apologized and it stops there?
okay, not once, not twice. I can say up to like 5 times. And at some point, when he wants to, I devised a strategy. When he wants to, when I realize that there's a way I study and I know, no, this thing, when he starts, he starts. Sometimes I have to run away from the house. Sometimes
To where?
I can just decide to drive out as I'm parked like this now, just park on the road for like 10 minutes. Then I'll go back to the house.
He is of the view that you are under the spell and you've been hypnotized by Johnson Suleiman.
Imagine.
It's a serious matter. Please do not laugh. It's a because he feels that
Mr. Suleiman.
you've been hypnotized. Because we actually see those kind of
At what
things,
point?
in churches sometimes. I mean, for me, someone like TB Joshua, he uses that quite a lot. So I do not agree with the way he does things. But are you a victim of hypnoticism,
Do I look
where
like
you're
one?
being controlled by like a robot?
Do I look like one? Do I look like, am I talking like someone who is talking like a robot? Like,
I don't know. I've never
don't
met
go
you. We
there.
just met today.
But I'm not talking like someone who is, when you see someone who is hypnotized, okay, why would I be hypnotized? I knew this man even before even before we got married. Hello, I stayed in his house at some point. I wasn't hypnotized. I still married you. I just feel that statement he made, he had to do that mind game. He had to do that mind game, and honestly, it's okay. I feel it's a mind game. If he didn't say that, he knew I was going to whatever he's saying. They certainly are not true. So he needed to put something out there so that even when I start talking, he knows. And that's why Michael say, "I know my wife is intelligent, but don't worry, she's not normal right now. She's hypnotized."
Immediately she left, people advised me, here in Nigeria, we have a culture. And they said,
Yes.
what you need to do is that you need to alert the family immediately because you were the one they handed her over to. Because if you don't let them know and anything happens to her, they will hold you responsible.
Yes.
So I had to call the mom immediately, and the mom was like, what is going on? What happened and all of that? I said, well, you ask your daughter. We had just, I'm not sure what is really going on because we had misunderstandings that we have resolved and all of that. Obviously, that has nothing to do with her leaving, so I wouldn't know why she left. So the mom said, okay, I should drop that. She was going to call her. Only for the mom to call me back. I said, I've called her and that she has called her and he asked her, where are you? She said she's somewhere in the world. I said, somewhere in the world. So the mom now said, please, I want to advise that whatever it is, you guys should find a way to settle it. Before you know what was happening, the next day, which was on a Sunday, this was okay, I think a few days later, on Sunday, I think it was Sunday afternoon, the elder brother called me from UK and was like, their mom mentioned to them what happened. That's the overall elder brother. So he now said, what actually happened? So I told him, I said, nothing much, aside. No, he said, well, you people having misunderstanding. I said, since this is just normal, the elder brother. And I said, those ones are not even issues now. There are people who even have more serious issues and it doesn't even, however, I will speak to her and get back to you, which is on Monday.
Yeah.
Do you know till today that as I speak to you, the elder brother never called back? So after about 1 year,
So he was like the go-to person from her family side, isn't it?
Of course, she must have told them she doesn't want the marriage and all of that, probably owing to the assurances that Suleiman has made to her.
You walked out on the marriage. The ministry never contributed to the marriage breakdown. When you were sent out of Omega Fire Ministries, I stuck with you. I was there with you. I left with you. We didn't attend church for months. I was angry with Apostle John. I was angry with Daddy. I was angry with Mommy. I stayed with you. In the midst of all these things, I stayed. So it had nothing. There's no basis for hypnosis. There's no ground for it. There's no reason why that should come in. It's out of place.
Why do you call him Papa? Why do you call him Papa, Daddy?
I call him Papa. I call him Daddy.
Why do you think he deserved that?
Oh my God, he does. He does.
Why?
He took me in when I lost my dad at a very tender age. Actually, I met him when I had academic issues. In the midst of all of that, he took me in. He did so much. I was pastoring, I had a fellowship. He tutored me. I know most times I will write magazines. He edited some of my magazines. At some point, I went to look for a job in NTA. It was Daddy who wrote my first application letter. I didn't know any of that.
So your
He deserves
relationship
it.
with him supersedes church and ministry.
Yes.
Omega Fire Ministries, do your own research. Things like this are not new in Omega Fire Ministries. There are a lot of
Okay.
people who are victims. It's something that we are used to, but when it comes to people's wives, because we knew him, really into ladies, young ladies, even teenagers and all of that. But, pastors' wives, people's wives and all of that, these are things that is on the lips of a lot of people. It's just that people are afraid, they can't speak up and all of that. That's just the reason why. Ordinarily, if you do your own research, or maybe you come to Auchi at those states, do your
Yes.
research, you'll be surprised that it's on the streets everywhere. It's not hidden. It's not something that is hidden.
So
It's his
it's public
lifestyle.
knowledge around that area.
It's public knowledge. It's
That the
something
man is an adulterer, the man is a fornicator, he sleeps with young girls, teenagers, married
almost anything
women,
is sketch.
everybody.
Yes. We were already planning to relocate to Abuja. We were making plan. I didn't know that there was already another plan going on behind me and Apostle Johnson Suleiman. How did I know? Because when I couldn't find them that particular day, July, where she left, 2 weeks later, I saw her. I saw that she had relocated to Abuja. Somebody told me that she was in Abuja. So when they told me she was in Abuja, she posted those things. And I said, oh, now I see what is happening. So I had to now pick my things and left there. So that was how it eventually happened. Up until today, I never saw them. I've made efforts, from time to time to try to reach them. But because of the threats, I had to stay off.
But he said you denied him access. When was the last time he saw the kids?
The last time he saw the kids was the last time he left Kano.
From Kano,
fact,
before you moved to Abuja?
The last, yes, that's the last time he saw the kids was that day we had that last discussion.
And he has never tried to see the kids ever since. He has never tried to reach out. You guys are in the same city, right?
God bless you.
You have 3 kids.
Yes.
Whatever happens between the parents, we must allow the kids have access to both the father and the mother. That's my belief.
Mr. Solomon, I never denied this guy. I don't know why he likes. See, when you want to say something, go straight. Think before I speak. Think before you speak. You cannot be in the same Abuja and you say I deny you access. I have not changed my line since this whole issue. In fact, the line I'm using now is the one I was using for years while we were married. I never changed my line. You are the one, he is the one who has changed lines several times. Because even the day the bride price was to be returned, I remember calling the old one that I had, and it wasn't watchable. I had to call somebody and say, Mike has changed line, and they send me the one he has.
She called me and said, well, I'm actually calling because my mom reached out to me last night that your family came to my house to ask if I'm still interested in the marriage. The reason I am calling you today is to let you know officially that I'm no longer interested in that marriage and that your family can come and get the bride price.
I knew it that this guy will one day say I packed. I don't know how I knew that. I knew it.
That's what he said. You left. He came home and you're gone.
I knew.
Why,
I can
why
send
did
the recording to you. I didn't leave. He left me.
As long as my daughter leaves, that is if she's really my daughter, and I am the father, from tonight, it is a pronouncement from my mouth that as long as that girl leaves, she will never be free herself, which is the mother, the injustice she did to her. May the earth continue to fight her. May the wind, may the elements of nature come against her. If that child was deserving of that injustice that Faith and Suleiman did to her, it will be well with them. But if she was never deserving of it, and I am the father of that child, the pronouncement goes from my mouth that she and Suleiman will never have peace till they die, and they will die of strange diseases. Can I shock you? Till this night I am granting this interview. From the time my wife left till this night we are talking, Apostle Suleiman never reached out to me, never even tried to bring myself and my wife together. No communications, no call. All I saw was that he gave her a branch. Don't forget that he has promised me that if I leave OFN, he gives me 2 years. That my wife will leave me and that I will lose my life. So he has finally taken her from me. So he needs to fund her. They need to settle her. So that's why I gave her the branch.
He didn't try to counsel you guys to some sort of marriage counseling.
There was never anything like that. If Apostle Suleiman never tried to do that, and I am saying publicly today that he never did it, may it not be well with me. There was never anything like that. All these things was a setup to wicked me, to trample on me with impunity, to humiliate me.
Even Johnson Suleiman, when he came to Johannesburg and took a stripper that he was sleeping with, the stripper even gave me his number. I tried to reach out to him. I tried to, even his wife, the stripper was the one that gave me those numbers. Anytime the stripper wants to expose them, he sends money through his brother, who is a pastor here in Johannesburg, and they give it to her. I'm telling you facts here. Just so you know the kind of person that Johnson Suleiman. Is it normal for a man to be sleeping with every woman, everywhere, and just anyhow? It's not normal. I don't care how much you love sex as a man. That is a spiritual thing. He needs to sleep with them because that's what is going to keep him, getting more influential, and so he can hypnotize people in church. And you think people are somersaulting and jumping because of the power of God. No, it isn't the power of God. It's the power of Satan. They're going to go back home the same way. Nothing changes. A lot of people, and even Mike himself, is not comfortable with the fact that when you guys had issues, in a very short space of time, you were given a accommodation in Abuja and a car, allegedly by Johnson Suleiman. And today, some people are actually not even comfortable the fact that you're a pastor in the church.
Yeah.
How does that sit with you? Because what came across was, it was more like this was a reward for your being a mistress. Like I always put it out there, because what came out is a mistress in quote. So let's put it in quote. Is for being a mistress to Johnson Suleiman. So this is like a reward for you. Is that it? How did you come to a place where you reconnected and then you were pastoring and you sort of like, okay, what was the transition for you, even from when people are married and they get divorced or separated? There's a lot of spiritual burden, spiritual weaknesses. There's a lot of emotional baggage to it. Absolutely. What sort of transition? How did you transit from that state to a state where you were okay to minister to others? Because there's no way you can minister to others if you yourself, at least, you are not sort of like, okay.
Yeah, you're not healed. Yes, I get you. I understand. Now, this is it. Like I said, I did my first video. I said at some point I got depressed. I got so depressed. Go to my videos, my Facebook page. I talk a lot about depression. I got depressed. At some point, it became suicidal. But like I said, I started preaching when I was 13. Ministry is my life. Yeah, ministry is my life. My life is ministry. It took me a lot of time. Even before this whole thing came out. You think I don't, do you think I don't have, sometimes I feel, oh my God, can I do this? It took me a whole lot of time. It took me a whole lot of time. But at some point, Mr. Solomon, I said to myself, the 4 leprous men in the Bible, they said, if we stay here, we die. If we go forward, we die. We choose to move. I said to myself, yeah, it has failed. It has crashed. But I can't die here. I can't die here. I started preaching at 13. I know I'm called. I want to work for God. I want to serve God. I can end my life because of this. Yeah, people will talk. People, at some point, they'll say, are you preaching? And where's your husband? I thought of all of that. But I told myself, when I get to that bridge, I will cross it. But this is my life. There's no other thing I would do that I would feel. This is ministry is me. I'm called. Now we've been separated for 2 years. When did this church start? It started in December. This church is just 7 weeks. 7 weeks old. So it's not as though, oh, you got out. They now took you. See, I don't, please, sometimes when I listen to these things, I get upset. This church is just 7 weeks old. It took a lot of energy to get up. Yeah, he has taken his diary. It was at that point. When he took his diary, I said to myself, you don't collect him money. You can't die of depression. You want to kill yourself?
The marriage certificate that was issued to us from the church, came from the courts.
So there's a legal part of it.
There's a legal part of it.
Are you still married or not?
I'm not married. I'm not married. You have taken back your diary. It is not last month, though. It's not last 2 months, though. This
I'm
is
taking my
collection of
diary
diary.
and I'm giving you your daughter.
They've given you. I've taken my diary, take your daughter, and not do again. Period. Then you come on air and tell people that I am still your wife. You are indirectly telling my people to hell with all of you, all the Edeko's family. People don't know what you are doing. Whether you like, give me diary, or you like, don't give me diary. Your daughter must be is my wife by fire by force. Is that how things are done? That's what you're invariably telling them. So he has taken his diary.
Mike is saying he has a certificate. So we're going to see how what certificate that is, that registration
Is the
certificate.
church is the church certificate.
Is there any chance of you getting back together?
No. No.
Is there any hope for reconciliation?
No.
Is there any hope for mediation?
No. Mike is just pain. For the fact that I'm not suffering. For the fact that I could get up, I'm not suffering. I am moving on, even though pastoring is not easy, but I'm pushing on. I'm strong. Maybe perhaps it's broke right now. He does not have money, and so I'm just going forward, and he's just trying to let him leave me out of his mess, please. I consider my kids. There's no room for any form of coming back. Does he want to pay the bride price? Does he want to remarry? Because he has to go. There's no room. Come on. This is all about wanting me back. Mike is not a baby. It's not about wanting me back. It's all about destroying me.
He actually threatened me in December 2018, in last Sunday of December 2018, that if I leave Omega Fire Ministries, he gives me 2 years, that my wife will leave me and that I will lose my life. This was the threat he made to me. So the first one has happened, which is my wife leaving me. And March this year, which will make it the second year that I left, because I left in March 2019. So that's why I have to reach out, because of the threats and all of that, for everybody to come to my aid. Because as I speak, I need help, because I'll be receiving attacks left, right, and center, and all of that, which probably I've spoken to when we spoke last year. I also mentioned them.